What's going on there, guys? Good evening. It's your Earthmaster here on this Thursday night, September 22nd, 2022. It is about 8:03 p.m. California time, and the latest quake out there on the Earthquake 3D globe shows a 1.4, kind of hidden out here in Alaska behind all the other microquakes taking place out there on the globe. Let's go ahead and take a look at the latest activity here on the USGS map. Showing 2.5 and above for the states, 4.0 and above internationally. Latest quake out here around the Myanmar area, 4.3 coming in at 10 kilometers deep. We have been waiting for a breakthrough, so to speak, as far as the pressure transfer goes from this region. Of course, as you guys know, over the past week or so, we've had quite a bit of earthquake activity here along the Pacific Plate, the Philippine Plate. I'm kind of just waiting for that movement to push west, so to speak, in a big way. But so far we haven't seen it. Got one earthquake over here around eastern Afghanistan as well. This one coming in, it looks like just earlier this afternoon time frame at 122 kilometers deep. That is very typical there for the mountainous regions of Afghanistan. Further west, over here in Italy, been watching a pretty good swarm of movement here last night and this morning time frame. Couple fours kicking off here. Some other smaller quakes here in the mix as well in northern Italy. So we're kind of watching that. A little bit of uptick there in that area of the world. A couple hours ago we had a earthquake up here well north of the Iceland area, out there around the Greenland Sea, around this plate boundary, in a 4.6. The rest of the Atlantic Ocean looks pretty quiet. Nothing going on around the South Sandwich Trench area. A little bit of movement here into the South America region. Getting a little clutter. Starting to notice it. Yes, we are. The majority of this earthquake pretty deep down there into the Peru-Chile Trench. I think the deepest one so far is this 245 kilometer deep 4.5. Well underneath Bolivia. So watching this area pretty closely. A lot of times these deeper movement earthquakes can trigger the subduction zone earthquakes much further upstream. So got to watch that area pretty closely there in the South America region. Puerto Rico. Oh goodness, I just had a bug pretty much fly into my eyeball right now. What's the chances of that? Like a little gnat flying around. All right, let's see what we got. That was just a little annoying. All magnitudes map here. Not a whole lot going on around Puerto Rico right now. Some movement up around Puerto Rico Trench, but overall very minimal earthquake activity over here around Puerto Rico. The Middle America Trench, of course, we have the activity up here into the Mexico area, following the 7.6 and the 6.8. Quite a few aftershocks in that sequence of earthquakes there on the coast of Mexico, northern end of the Middle America Trench. Since then, we've noticed a little migration down here to the south, off the coast of Guatemala, El Salvador area, and also off the coast of Panama. All seeing a little bit of more shallower earthquake activity in that region. Let's go ahead and start there in the States as well. Definitely looks like there's quite a bit happening out here. It looks pretty active. Earlier this morning, off the kind of looks like it's just off the coast of Washington, seen a 3.5 kicking up down there about 37 kilometers deep. I think we all know what is down there, and that's the Cascadia subduction zone, which sits offshore. A lot of plate dynamics here with the movement throughout the Cascades, though. Looks pretty quiet. We got one earthquake right here. I always like to look for these, folks. These could be a telltale sign of what's going on out there along the Cascadia megathrust. And we had a, not a big earthquake, but we had a 1.9 at 5.4 kilometers into the Cascadia fold and thrust belt. This is where all the activity kind of builds up like a spring and it wounds tight. This is kind of where all the uplift occurs as well. You got the Juan de Fuca plate here being shoved underneath the North American plate, ultimately adding strain and rising of the land out here along the coast range as well. And that's a very interesting earthquake. We got to watch that pretty closely. Cascadia, 322 years ago, produced a 9.0 or greater earthquake out here and sent a Pacific-wide damaging tsunami across the Pacific Ocean. So watch these little earthquakes out here. They could be a telltale sign. While we're on this topic of Cascadia, let's go ahead and check out the tremor map here across the region of the Pacific Northwest. And we've been watching these tremors be confined here pretty much in these two specific areas over the last couple days. Let me see if I can pull up a couple dates here. We could either use... we'll go ahead and use this time frame. We're going to go over the past week and see what we got here for activity. And like I said, it's been mostly confined here to the Oregon regions. Look at that. Looking at 1,150 epicenters of tremor. That is... you know, we do see that occur in that area of Oregon, so it's not abnormal. But for 7 days straight here, that's the only area that has seen tremor activity. So I can only assume that there is quite a bit of stress back building up here along the locked area. Hence the earthquake that we've seen offshore here into the southern Oregon area. We're starting to notice a little bit of strain building up here along the locked area. So something to watch, something to take note of. Pretty dynamic setup here. 1,150 epicenters underneath this area down there, about 35-45 kilometers deep. So you're getting that vibrational frequency, the vibrational tremor, so to speak, down dip. And ultimately what that's doing is adding further strain up here into this region of the Cascadia subduction zone. Northern California, some movement outside of the Bella Vista area earlier this afternoon. We haven't really seen too much activity. That was super duper odd, folks. I'm not even gonna... Okay, so I gotta explain what I just seen here. Hold on a second. Hopefully I'm still here live on the air. That was really weird. It still shows as recording. I'm still live streaming, but as soon as I start talking about the Cascadia, folks, I get some weird stuff happening here on the live stream. Let me, I may have to restart my browser because literally, whoever's messing with me really needs to probably knock it off, because that is a federal crime to mess around with someone's computer like that. That is a federal crime, and if I find out who's doing it, that will definitely I'll sue you, no doubt. That's a definitely suable offense, messing with somebody's computer like that. Let me see if I can bring this back here. There we go. Okay, looks like we're back, but I literally just had my I don't know what they accessed, something in my Explorer file, which of course monitors all your downloads, pictures, videos, stuff like that. It popped up, and then like everything else just froze up from the browser, which I'm using. So it's really weird. Let me double check, make sure we got everything back to normal here. You guys seen it live, but on my side, I had a window pop up here. I didn't even touch anything here. It basically popped up my Explorer, which is the Windows Explorer that you know, monitors the files throughout the downloads, pictures, videos, you know, etc. That's exactly what popped up. Like someone's in the background kind of messing with me. But hey, just know that is a federal crime to do that remotely like that through the internet. Not for sure who's behind it, but I don't appreciate it. All right, let's continue on. Maybe they don't want me talking about the Cascadia, but hey, you know what? I'm just reporting what I see here from our agencies that we pay through taxpayer dollars. That's their job to report the earthquake activity out here. And that's kind of that's what I'm doing. I'm not going out on any crazy conspiracy theories. I can understand them maybe shutting me down for that, but I'm just reporting what I see out here. I don't understand why someone wants to mess with me. All right, let's go ahead and move on and see if we can continue this. Northern California, again, some activity around the Lake Shasta area. A little bit of movement across the northern Sacramento area. Not a whole lot going on through the Bay Area. That's just so weird. I'm going to be up all night thinking about that now. 1.9 near the San Juan Bautista area, right smack dab on the San Andreas Fault, the Santa Cruz Mountain section. Ridgecrest area and the Mammoth Lakes area, not seeing a whole lot of movement. Things have kind of backed off here as far as earthquake activity goes, including Southern Cal. We're not seeing any movement within the last hour or so. Nothing going on around the Brawley seismic zone or the southern end of the San Andreas Fault. We got one earthquake off the coast of Tijuana down here, 2.5 at 23 kilometers deep. Some movement into Utah. And low activity kicking up right now into the Idaho area. Looks like outside of the Chalice area. That is along the Sawtooth Fault system, I believe. Actually, it looks like it's just off of there. To the east a little bit. Getting in on some 3.0s and a 2.5. In the mountains of the Salmon River Mountains. Yellowstone National Park. Go ahead and key up the latest data here. Oh, goodness. Yellowstone National Park showing a little bit of activity here around the Holmes Hill, Maple Creek area. This has been an ongoing swarm here for a few weeks now, for about a month. Kind of been consistent with off and on activity. Largest quake so far in the sequence of earthquakes, a 3.9 that occurred here about a week or so ago. But things are still continuing at Yellowstone National Park. I'm not saying it's going to blow. There's no doom and gloom here on this channel. We would know if it's going to blow. We would definitely see some major seismic activity, more than a couple very small microquakes over the course of the 24 hours. And don't get me wrong, there's been a lot. There's definitely been a lot of earthquakes here. Let's go ahead and go back the last 30 days here at Yellowstone National Park and see what they got here from the USGS. 742 earthquakes in the Yellowstone area in the last 30 days. And most of that has been in a migrational fashion here around the northwest corner of the park, roughly from Hebgen Lake over to the Maple Creek area, where we're seeing most of that movement. And also a little bit of activity into the northern edge of the caldera and the southern edge of the caldera. All kind of kicking up there with quite a few microquakes. Again, a 3.9 is the largest earthquake there on the 18th. Quite a few 3s and 2s and many other earthquakes listed up there on the map. All right, let's back out of here. See what we got. I just want to make sure everything's running right. It was just really weird what just happened. Oklahoma. Dustin, Oklahoma. Never heard of it. Looks like it's outside of the... where are we at here? What do we got out here? Any oil fields? I can only assume. There's Dustin that sits up here to the northwest a couple miles. Let's see what we got for satellite data kicking up here. What do you know? Is that a beautiful farm feature? A farmhouse out there in Oklahoma? Out there in the prairies? No, that's a oil pumping operation out there. Literally within 500 feet of that earthquake. All right, not a whole lot going on throughout the eastern part of the country. We did earlier this afternoon see a 1.3 in the Elgin, South Carolina area. Of course, we've been noticing some swarming activity here. Not recently. Most of this swarming activity has occurred in months past, but the past couple weeks, past month or so, excuse me, has been relatively quiet. Alrighty, let's see what else we got here, folks. Hawaii, the Big Island, beautiful blue Pacific. Nothing within the last hour. The majority of this earthquake around the Pahala area. We are noticing some movement up here around Mauna Loa, stretching in a migrational fashion over here towards the western part of the Big Island, but we're still a little uncertain as to what that's going on. I believe that's just a general plate activity kicking up here over the hot spot down below. Down here into the Samoa area, seeing a 5.2 in the Tonga region. One earthquake here, in fact the last earthquake within the last time frame here of this area, 4.8 at 567 kilometers deep. Woo, that's pretty deep, folks. North Island, New Zealand, of course, had some activity last night and overnight. Haven't really seen too much activity ramping up there right now, but overall things just kind of unstable as far as the general plate activity goes. It's pretty active all over the place right now. All right, let's see. Let's go ahead and go into space weather here. See what we got. I hope we're still live. Stand by for just a second here. Go into space weather real quick. I was just going to check, make sure that we're still live on the stream. Stand by for just a second here. Yes, we are. We got 32 folks viewing up here. Seattle, Washington up there. Jamie. Some activity offshore. Just a little bit of movement there into the Cascadia. All right. Let's see what we got for space weather. A little bit of movement, or at least activity ramping up around the September 23rd time frame. That's going to be in the UTC category, which actually, I think that puts us at right now, right? It is September 23rd, 2022, about 0320 UTC time. So things could be kicking up here pretty soon in that fashion. The detailed forecast shows between 0 and 600 on the 23rd. So any time now, we should be looking at space weather kicking up. Right now, we're looking at a little bit of KP index here, ramping up around the 3 range of the KP index model, but nothing around the auroras. So just kind of waiting for it. But I think here overnight tonight is a chance to see some auroras at the higher latitudes. In fact, these guys are forecasting a 65% chance at the higher latitudes, 25% chance at the mid latitudes there. That is, again, right now till roughly about 3 hours from now. So that's a window that we're looking at. Whether it hits or not remains to be seen. Actually, it looks like the density is kind of peaked here within the last hour or so, but the planetary magnetic field has remained stable. But notice that density there kind of kicking up. That could be the arrival of this expected glancing blow from a coronal hole that had been facing us, which is now kind of just over here. But notice this. We got a pretty large coronal hole here on the southern hemisphere of the sun. I don't think that's going to play a major part in the weather. We might get another glancing blow from it. Solar flare activity. Got a massive region of some sunspot activity here. But the dynamics are not super complex here. As far as it being able to produce any magnetic or any major flares. Possibly here with this one. We'll watch out with the orange and the blue-green areas here. Very close. Current threat level of the solar flare activity. 99% chance of a C flare, 30% chance of an M flare, and 5% chance for an X flare is what the solarham.net website is reporting. We'll keep an eye on it for sure. But for now, we'll watch for that possible G1 class storm kicking up there. Right now, it doesn't look likely. But either way, look for it overnight if you are up there in the higher latitudes. Alrighty, guys, I'm going to back out of here. Looks like we're still live. Everything's still set up. Just a very odd experience, and I'm glad you guys are here to see it and observe what has happened to this channel on occasion. I've had my computer reset numerous times by itself. and I have all options here to prevent it from resetting, even on a critical error. But it will automatically reset. I've seen this earthquake 3D globe go down by itself to that. Basically one earthquake on the map. And everyone knows here, if you have the Earthquake 3D program, there's a little manual setting here to add the earthquakes onto the map. Why it would go down by itself magically, I don't know. It's a little obvious possibly that this thing may have a little backdoor feature for someone that may want to hack some computers. Not 100% certain, but man, I've seen this thing do some weird stuff in the past. But tonight, I'm glad you guys got to see kind of what happened with me. On my end, though, I had the Windows Explorer program pop up by itself, like someone searching my computer for like an image or something. Really weird. Really weird and really strange. So whoever's watching, whoever's doing it is watching right now. But I do want to let you guys know, if I do find out who's doing it, there will no doubt be a lawsuit and some federal charges filed, because that is a federal crime to mess with someone's computer like that. All right, folks, have a good night. Please stay safe out there and be prepared. There's a whole lot of uncertainty right now, but the best thing to do is be prepared, and we'll see what happens here. Take care, guys. Catch you guys overnight, sometime tomorrow. Peace out.